Hello, everyone. This is Carolyn Coleman. Welcome to Gentry's Journey. And our guest for today is Sheila Lawrence. She is an author, and I'm really anxious to hear about a lot of the things that she has done and is doing. So she writes both fiction and nonfiction, and she has won various awards, and she's going to tell us about her journey in being an author. Sheila, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. Now, tell us about your fiction and then tell us about your nonfiction. Or just introduce yourself first and then tell us about your fiction and your nonfiction.
Okay, well, um, my name is Sheila Lawrence, and I don't even remember what age I started. Started late writing. I've always written, but I never thought that I could have a career as a writer. So I went to school for computer programming, for computer science, and that's what I've done for the past 45 years. But writing always had a grip on me, would not let me go.
Mm,
So I write anytime something comes up and I think it'll make a good story. That's what I do. I take notes and I write about it. And finally, I got the nerve up to finish some stuff and start submitting. And lo and behold, I had some acceptances. So that is how I stumbled into my journey as a writer.
that's wonderful. Now, I'm seeing what does your fiction comprise of?
Mysteries, cozy mysteries, mostly. I joke and tell people romance would be too far a stretch for me because I've been single all my life. So, but mysteries and I write cozies because cozies, three things: they don't have profanity, they don't have um, sex, and they don't have violence. So, in cozy mysteries, the body's already on the floor, so to speak, and just solve who did it. And that's the kind of mysteries I write.
So is it similar to those dinner theater movies, mystery when they have that? You go in, you have dinner and a movie basically.
I,
And the actors come out and, set the
yeah,
stage. Okay. Okay. Great.
and I love those. I remember when we had one in Birmingham. But for me, I used to watch Perry Mason and Matlock. Those guys, they were attorney sleuths. You know, they have different people who are not necessarily professionals who solve mysteries, but I like the Perry Mason series. And
Oh,
that's what
absolutely.
um, yeah, that's what prompted me into saying, well, I'd like to see somebody that looks like me doing that.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
so I
Now,
write a Danny Cobb series, yeah, where my sleuth is an attorney, but it's a female, a black female. So,
no, you create. I mean, that's the purpose of writing your fiction. You create. You create your
right, and
characters
I
and
just flipped the
go
yeah.
ahead.
I flipped the script. I wanted to make it fun, even though, murder is a serious thing, but I wanted it to be entertaining, nothing heavy, nothing dark, nothing grim. I tell people, well, they were going to be dead anyway, so I might as well, solve the mystery around it. So that's kind of what cozies are. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, you stumbled upon a murder, you stumble upon some kind of crime and go about solving it.
And I see where your backdrop is basically the Magic City.
Yes, yes. This is all I've ever known. I've never lived anywhere else. And I love Birmingham. I love the Magic City. It has a lot going on here, a lot to offer. I love the history. Um, I love to visit some of the old landmarks around town. So for my series, this is the backdrop.
That's great. That is great. Now, when did you start writing?
I think it was my freshman year of college. Um, I was a student at Jeff State and we had an English lit class. It was actually in a break room. And I want to see where you all are. And there was a coffee pot on the counter. She said, I need everybody to write a paragraph about this coffee pot. And I was sitting there thinking, like, is she for real? So anyway, after we had about 15 minutes. So after about 13 minutes, I finally started writing and I wrote a paragraph really fast. And when she read it, she liked it. And she was the one who encouraged me to go into writing. I didn't, but she planted a seed at that point. That was many years ago.
That's wonderful. Now,
But I came from one of those families where my mom would be, you need to get something that where you're going to be able to make a living. You can't make a living as a writer. You can't. And so I never pursued it as a profession, but it always was in me. And so, those things that are in you, you tend to come back to.
perfect timing.
Yeah,
Don't you think so?
yes. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so because I've enjoyed what I did choose as a profession, programming computers. But now that I'm about to retire from that, writing is definitely going to be my next um, because I enjoy it and it keeps my mind sharp because I have to stay one step ahead of the readers. So
Absolutely. But like I said, when it's fiction, it's yours anyway. So you really can take the
it
time
is.
to play with it, if you will.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
your characters do what you want them to do or what you feel is needed at that point in time.
And it's funny. Sometimes they do what they want to do. And I'm like, oh, really? I'll be writing and be like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing. And it's like the writing takes on a life of its own.
It
And
does.
oftentimes, if I start writing a mystery and I think I know who the culprit is, it may or not end up being that person once I get into writing and I decide, well, I think somebody else did this. So yeah,
Well, that keeps you on your toes. It keeps your writing
it
sharp,
does.
and it keeps it the story is ever evolving.
Yeah.
And that's what you want.
Yeah, it's almost after you've created these characters, then they kind of speak to you as to how they're going to behave.
True. Absolutely. And that is the joy of creativity and the joy of your
Yes,
writing. Um,
yes,
and one thing I like about writing, like I say, you create your
yeah,
character. And yes, you may start off in one direction, you may start off in on east and you might move all the way north. But,
absolutely,
it's just things that are just going to, the pen kind of dictates what's going on. Um,
absolutely,
so,
absolutely,
that keeps you sharp and that keeps you kind of motivated to finish that
absolutely.
story and to, you want to make it believable in my humble,
Believable, yes,
you know,
yes,
in my
but
humble
not too
opinion.
predictable,
Oh
but
no,
believable.
no,
Yeah,
that
that's
takes the
right.
fun out
Yeah,
of it. No, you got to have something. You got to have that Jack in the Box jump up at some point in time. Take
yes,
everybody's mind off and like the who done it. Last
yeah.
night I couldn't sleep, and so you know how you channel surf, and I ran up on this show. Oh my goodness, uh, closed case. Okay,
Okay,
the case. It reopens when someone brings new information. Cold case,
okay,
COLD case. Um, and so that one, and it keeps you on your toes. It really keeps you on your toes.
absolutely.
So,
And those they're
go
so
ahead.
interesting to me.
Mhm.
Now, I say that I'm already interested when you say cold case, because
Hmm.
that means this thing has not been solved, but we
It
know
has not.
somebody did it. Yeah,
Hmm. And even the people who were in the movie, so to speak, kept telling this one investigator, it's over. It didn't happen. That's not how it happened. And he said, somebody had to do it.
absolutely.
It didn't do itself. And so he
Absolutely.
was the only, he believed so much in the evidence. He said, well, why this and this doesn't match?
Yeah.
It's not her handwriting. And so, he wouldn't give up. Everybody was like walking away from it. Some of them we're just not going to be able to solve. He said, but we can solve this. He believed in it. So he believed in the story. He believed in what happened. And he found the individual, that
Awesome.
committed the crime. But that's what you have to do. You have to have that stick to itiveness. And
Right.
some people are ready to just give it up because why not? Let's move
Right.
on. It's cold anyway. But no,
Right.
that's one thing I enjoy about the show. And I used to watch it several years ago, but like I said, it was on last night. And I was like, let's see what they got for me today. So yeah. So it can go whichever direction you want. And a lot of times it's not in the direction that you would assume.
Yeah. And that reminds me, I've always been so curious about what's the little girl named Joan Benet Ramsey?
Yeah.
That case. It's
Hmm.
like, I just want to know what happened.
Brought that up. We discussed this in the hair salon just the other week.
Okay. Okay.
And I was just taken aback by it's not but like three of us in there. And I was just kind of taken aback by everybody else's opinion because I'm like,
Uh,
is that how you think that went down? And they were like, yeah, it just makes sense. And I was like, no, it doesn't.
no, nothing
So
about it makes sense. I'm like,
nothing about it made sense. And so it's that type of thing, so it's to me it's one of it that is truly a cold case, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because I don't think I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we never found out how
No,
or who.
no,
Okay.
no.
Yeah. So sometimes things will be cold cases. So it's a lot to unpack.
Yeah,
Some days it's a lot to unpack.
yeah.
So yeah. So I've given you two good ideas. But anyway, now you also do nonfiction writing as well.
I do.
And tell us about that.
Well, I am a minister, so I often look to encourage people and to just uplift folks' spirits. We all, when life get to life, and sometimes just need a word to encourage us. And my nonfiction is inspirational nonfiction. Um, I used to do a blog called A Sip from the Well,
Hmm.
inspired by the woman at the well that went, and got the water that she'd never thirst again. And
Sure.
so, what it was, as we opened this, it was a scripture and it would just be a thought, but it would be something to encourage people. And I actually gathered all of those posts together and put them in a book so that I could have them at hand. But I did another one called If I Could Help Somebody, same type thing, just what you could read in a few minutes. So that people wouldn't have to dedicate a whole lot of time to it. A scripture and an encouraging word to get you started on your day or whatever. So those are the kinds of nonfiction things that I did, just inspirational.
And that's wonderful because we need that as well. You
Yeah,
know,
I need that.
I know I do. You need something to have truly hang your hat on.
Yeah,
Yes, it's great to be entertained, but the um, the point of it all is eternal life.
absolutely.
Hmm. That
Absolutely.
that's that is truly the point.
And even in the nonfiction, I try to sneak. messages in there, encouragement, hope, or something positive, because not everyone who reads the inspirational will read the fiction, and not
That's true.
everyone who reads the fiction will read the inspirational.
That's true.
So I try to make sure that there's some redeeming value in anything that I write, because it all points to Jesus.
And it makes people think.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah, you want to
yeah.
leave them with something.
Because there's a scripture where one plants the seed, another waters it. And so if I could just plant the seed, somebody else could come behind me and water it. So,
And I used that the other day. Um I was talking to someone. I said, well, don't forget the seeds you sow coming up again.
yeah,
So we have to be mindful of what we say, how we say it,
yeah,
because we're planting seeds as we go and
yeah,
as we grow. And I want to plant as many good seeds as I can.
absolutely.
And I said, so we have to be mindful of that, the seed time and harvest, because
Yeah,
what you plant growing. Now, so what,
absolutely.
how do you,
You can't plant an apple seed and get a peach.
no, you
So
can't.
you
And
got to
really,
plant the right kind of seeds.
absolutely. And you might want to be able to eat that fruit, okay? And
Yeah,
if you can't eat that bitter fruit that you planted, then
yeah,
what was it for?
yeah,
What was
yeah,
the purpose? So,
absolutely.
you think about things of that nature. So when you're thinking about life, when you
Absolutely.
think about life, how you really want to be remembered.
That's exactly right. And that's why I entitled one of the books "If I Could Help Somebody," because I love Mahalia used to sing, "If I could help somebody as I pass along this way, then my living hasn't been in vain." I don't
Hmm.
want my living to be in vain. When it's all said and done, I want to have something credited to my name that was good.
One of my aunts um would sing that often. And sometimes when I stop by and see her, and close enough to people where I didn't have to call before I went. I
Mhm.
just drive by, jump out the car, knock on the door, ring doorbell, whatever, and we would chat. And her thing was, if I could just help somebody, then I know my
Yeah,
living would not be in vain. And she said, Kay, I just want to help somebody. And
yeah,
she was always faithful in helping more than
yeah,
somebody. She helped many people
yeah,
because she just loved to see people smile. Or she, if there was a need and she could feel it, then if she was able to do so, she did so. And it was
absolutely.
without regret.
That's a beautiful thing.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. And
And like you said, no regrets. When you leave it, you don't have regrets that,
mhm,
you woulda, coulda, shoulda, but
mhm.
that you did what you could,
Yeah,
all you
because
could, while you could. Yeah.
absolutely, because you feel the void.
Yeah.
I don't care who it was, or if I could help somebody. And
Yeah.
she said, that way I know my living would not be in vain. And so,
Yeah.
and sometimes she would just get so full of the spirit, and she just weep. And I was like, your living won't be in vain. Not that I had
Absolutely.
to say anything to her,
Yeah.
but I would think it, because when you're in that moment, with the Lord, you don't want to interrupt what that person has going on. And I would just say to myself, your living won't be in vain, because I've seen
Absolutely.
her in action. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't just, I've seen her in
The
action.
fruit of a labor.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And and thankful to be able to be a witness to it. I am just
Right.
grateful for that. But that was one of the things that she would say often.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now tell us about Sisters in Crime.
Oh, Sisters in Crime. I love Sisters in Crime because I didn't really have a writing routine. Some people, say, "Oh, I get up early in the morning and write," or "I write in the evening." I didn't really have a routine. I wrote anytime I found time available. But Sisters in Crime is a community of writers. They're not all mystery writers, some are poets. Um, they're all kind of writers, but they have write-ins, and I love it. On Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays at 7 a.m., 10 a.m., 2, 5, and 8. We write for an hour. You could join any or all of the write-ins. And after joining them, it causes me to set my alarm and take a break, whatever I'm doing, and work on something that's writing, whether it's researching, writing, editing. But if I don't get a chance to any other time for that hour, we're writing, and we're not sitting, we're not chatting. We open, the hosts will open. They're the only ones on the camera and on the mic, and the rest of us, we're in the chat. But then they set the timer and we write and we come back. So it's kind of accountability. You come back and say what you did. Some days I had to admit I didn't do very much, but other days I got a lot done. So I just like it's a community of writers, and it say sisters, but they're men who are also a part of the community.
Well, that's great because, like you say, it does give you time to have an accountability. Let me
Yeah.
go ahead and do what I need to do because I will speak for myself. I will raise my hand. I have been procrastinating. Okay.
Yes,
I have
yes.
several projects that are open. It's,
Well, then you might be interested in this. In January, you don't have to be a member of Sisters in Crime,
Mhm.
and they are going to do January Jumpstart. And they are going to have every day from the 5th of January to the end of January, those same writing slides. Normally they're on Tuesday, Fridays, and Saturdays, but
Mhm.
every day at 7, 10, 2, 5, and 8, they're going to have write ins. And you don't need to be a member to be able to join the link and write.
Mhm.
So you might want to join in some days and just do your own thing.
Okay. I'm gonna keep that in mind. 'Cause I need a push. I need a push.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
need
I
a push.
and I like that you don't have to be a member in January to do that, because it may interest some people in joining and it may not. And you get to try it before
Absolutely.
investing in it. Yeah,
Absolutely. So, and how long have you been a member of that?
only a year, only
Okay.
a year. And I knew about them, but for some reason I didn't think that I you know, that I qualified, because I wasn't, this grandiose author or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
so, a year ago, I just decided I'm going to join and see what it's about. They have webinars on different subjects, and I really thought it would be, and it is a learning thing, where people will lecture on different topics, and I love learning. I'm a forever student, and I've learned a lot, and it's been well worth the investment. So
Well, that's wonderful.
yeah,
Um, the accountability is important,
yeah,
but life sometimes jumps up and gets in the way. Um,
absolutely. But I
mhm.
can credit them with all of my success this year. And I've had 3 short stories accepted in anthologies.
Great.
June, they had the same type thing, June Scrawl, every day in June. I did those 3 stories during those times, those write-in times. And after June was over with, because of the markets that I learned about in the write-ins, they say this one's accepting submissions. I submitted to those places they suggested, and those are the 3 places that accepted those 3 short stories that I wrote in June. So I, before then, had not written short stories. I wrote novelings,
Mm-hmm.
and so I credit them with the success that I've had. That's only the success I've had in 2025, those 3 short stories. But it was because of the write-ins and the information I got through the Sisters in Crime network.
Well, it is success. Even if you finish and it's not accepted at this point in time, it's still your work. It's still what you did,
Yeah,
and it came from you. It came from your heart. So congratulations on
Thank you. I can't tell you how many unfinished pieces I have, but I finished those three.
well, like I said, I have several at this point in time,
Yeah.
and they're going to get done.
Yeah. I believe it. I believe it.
They're going to get done. Just a matter of time and getting that energy back. And
Yeah.
because right now I just feel like I got a block, that writer's block.
And
So,
I have ebbs and flows. And when I feel it flowing, I try to write as much as I can during that time because I know in a little while, I'm not going to feel like writing again. And when
mm-hmm,
I don't feel like writing, I don't write. I think
mm-hmm,
about it, but I don't write. But when
mm-hmm,
it starts flowing and I get into that where I just really got to write, I try to take advantage of it and write as fast as I can until
mm-hmm.
it dries up again. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. And I think I know I did that. It's not thinking I know I did that. Did a lot in I can't even tell you what the time span was. But I did a lot and I was like, okay, it's time for me to complete some of the things that I have started because I was doing parts of an anthology. I was a part of anthology,
Okay.
and they were the anthologies were number one bestsellers, which is wonderful.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
that's
Yeah.
thank you. That's a feat among itself.
Yeah.
But to be a part of what someone else's project is great,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
them to think enough of you to invite
Absolutely.
you in and then accept your work. I mean, sure we got to go through the editing and all of that. That's
Absolutely.
wonderful, but it's experience. It's things I never thought I would do. So,
Yeah.
I am appreciative of it, very much appreciative of it.
Right. And see, the three stories that I did in June were things I'd not done before. One was a historical. I had never written historical fiction before.
Mm-hmm.
So, I had to look up just what qualifies as historical fiction. And I got to tell you, my feelings were hurt. Historical fiction, it said it was anything prior to 1970. I'm like,
Yeah.
1970? Wait a minute. You mean 60s? My childhood was historical. So, yeah, I've gotten to the age where uh, my early part of my life is historical. So,
That is funny, but I get what you're saying.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And then you have the Cooking Up Death anthology. What's that
yeah.
about?
Well, and they had an open call for cozies, but the murder had to be through food or drink, anything ingested. And so, yeah, what did I, oh, I had a cider recipe that I made. And my motive of murder through that was I had seen something a long time ago where someone was killed with eye drops, that
Mm,
tetras, yeah, the whatever that is in
hmm
eye drops, if it will poison you if enough of it's ingested. So yeah, so that was the story I came up with that they were in an old folks home and they were having a Christmas celebration.
hmm
And one of the ladies in particular was fond of the cider. She kept drinking, and then somebody poisoned her. So, yeah.
She was drinking too much, so they decided.
Yeah.
Some people don't want you to have any pleasure in anything. She enjoyed the cider, so they decide, okay, you won't enjoy this part.
Yeah. Yeah. But I had fun with it because I had not dealt with murder by food or whatever. So,
Mhm.
um, and that's how I challenged myself. When I heard about the different submissions, I looked to see what the guidelines were, and I wrote those stories specifically geared toward the guidelines. Okay, they've got to have food as a part of the murder weapon. One of the anthologies, it was for seniors, and that's why I had it set in a nursing home, and these older ladies were friends. And yeah, and the third one, the historical, that I had to look up and saw if it was before 1970, it was historic. So I geared it toward the guidelines, and it was a challenge. It was a challenge to myself to see if I could do it. And I don't think anybody was more surprised than me that I managed to write and finish it and submit it and have it accepted. So it
Right.
was, yeah, it was a whirlwind.
Now, the right cozy culinary anthology.
Uh-huh.
What is that about?
Um, it had a cooking theme too. And the story that I submitted for that was a chili. I call it killer chili. Uh, and yeah, and well, it had to do with the cheating spouse and how the wife managed to get rid of him. But um, I found out about it through Sisters in Crime.
Hmm.
One of the ladies who's hosting Sisters in Crime is in Scotland. And she's so entertaining. She has a publishing company. And she said, I'm doing an anthology. They have to be killed with the food. And, she gave the guidelines, 5,000 words or whatever. And I thought, I'm going to try and write something that would, you know, qualify for that. Lo and behold, she accepted the story.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, that's
Yeah.
great.
And it helped because sometimes you have your own ideas about stories you want to write or whatever, but in these cases I geared it toward what they were looking for.
Hmm.
Yeah, I started with a clean slate, and it's like, okay, this is what they're looking for, let me come up with something that meets this. And yeah, so I don't know if it's easier to do it geared toward guidelines or do it toward
Well,
sparks of imaginations,
I think it gives you an outline on what you need to do. You know how we did lit in school.
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
to make your own outline of what you
yeah,
really wanted to write about. And
yeah.
earlier we were talking about I need my little notepad. That's my list of things
Absolutely.
I need to do.
And that's how I started. I got my notepad. I said, now these are the things I know that need to be included.
Hmm.
And then I just started filling in, fleshing around the bones. Those were the bones, and I started adding flesh around it, and that's
Hmm.
how I came up with those stories. So
No, that's good. Now tell us about, I didn't know Alfred Hitchcock had a magazine.
yes, Alfred Hitchcock and Ellery Queen, they're kind of companion pieces, and um, every month they have a photo that they put in there, and they allow you to submit a flash fiction piece, which is 250 words. So you see a picture and you write a story about it in 250 or fewer words. And I have actually uh, uh, won in a couple of them. And the first time I thought it was spam. I was like, why are these people playing with me? And I was like, oh my God, it's Alfred Hitchcock. And I was not the first place winner. Let me clarify. Uh, but they only print the first place winner story. And then the other five or however many they mentioned, but just to be mentioned in Alfred Hitchcock was like, you know, I had arrived. I loved it.
That's
So
great.
even
I
though my
mean,
story wasn't in it, and I tried again this year, and lo and behold, the month of May and June, they accepted it. So it's kind of an honorable mention, I guess.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
You know, anything that you accomplish.
yeah.
Hmm.
Anytime somebody else likes something that I wrote, I
Hmm.
count it a win. I
Absolutely.
got, yeah,
I'm the same way
yeah.
because
Because I
everything's
tell
not
people
for
I
everyone.
write for me,
Yeah.
but if somebody else likes it, then it's like,
Hmm.
oh, that's the gravy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the Alabama Writers Forum, and
Yeah.
you tell me about that.
Okay, I'm not as involved with Alabama Writers Forum. I keep my membership up,
Hmm.
but they are an organization. Authors are part. They allow you to announce your work and different things. They keep you abreast of conferences and workshops and those kind of things that are going on. But I'm also a member of the Alabama Writers Cooperative. Uh, it used to be the Alabama Writers Conclave, and
Hmm.
they changed conclave to cooperative because they felt that uh, and with everything starting to be so politically correct, they didn't want to be offensive to anybody by saying conclave.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the board there, and we actually are having our conference in Birmingham next year. I'm excited in September. The last couple of conferences were in Orange Beach, but they'll be in Alabama. And I'm actually on the committee trying to help find fun things for the writers to do that will be coming to uh, Birmingham in September.
That's great.
So, yeah. But just another writers community, where writers share, and we have stories, what do you call it, webinars, we have lectures, we have classes, those kind of things to help um, enhance your skills.
That's good.
So, yeah. Like I
That's
said, I
good.
love it. I love to learn. And anytime I can get in situations, especially where I can look at a webinar or read a book or whatever, and it improves me, then I'm all for it.
That's good. As you should, because you want to hone your skills.
Absolutely. And when I go without writing for a while, it's almost like starting over again. I'll sit and I'll be like, okay, what do I know? What are the elements that
Mm-hmm.
would make a good story? And I have to sit there and just almost relearn everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you're really trying to push me.
No, and that's because there were such big gaps between my writing
I
at
get
one
it. No,
time.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
And I'd sit there and just stare at the page and be like, okay, now how do I start this?
Yeah, where do
You
I
know?
begin? Yeah,
Yeah,
where did
yeah,
I end? What do I really want to say? Yeah, all those questions come to mind, but I think once I put pen to paper to be okay.
yeah.
Um, so those are great. I mean, I have you're teaching me stuff, which is great. I mean, I am a forever learner as well. So that's a wonderful part of it.
Absolutely.
Now, when you're not writing,
Yes.
what are you doing?
When I am not writing, I'm a Hallmark junkie. I watch Hallmark movies.
Okay,
And of course, like I said, I'm also a minister. So a lot of times I will be wanting to write on my projects, and I'll have an assignment to preach or whatever. So, I have to switch my hat and be like, okay, that's a different kind of writing,
hmm
you know. And I work a job that's not a 9 to 5 or 8 to 5. I'm often on call, and on call is brutal, especially when you get to a certain age and your phone's ringing at 2, 3, 4 in the morning because there's problems.
sure.
And so, you know, that takes up a lot of my time, a lot of my mental space,
hmm
because I am a programmer. It deals with logic, and there's not ever any time when I feel like I just don't have anything to do.
Well,
My time
I get
is,
that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
get that.
yeah.
But sometimes we need a break.
Absolutely. And I
So
like to
long.
travel. I
Mhm.
don't travel like far a lot of times. I'll go to where I can drive and just get out and do things, recently, like this year, I did things like muscle shows, and I took the tours of the recording studios, and I went to maybe a market in Athens, those kind of things.
Sure.
Yeah, and I really enjoy those. Give me like a hardware store or an antique store, and hey, I can get lost all day.
Yeah, I have a friend. She used to love antiquing, and I'm just walking around like, when is this gonna be over? When is
Yeah,
so I'm just saying,
yeah,
and it perked her up. I mean,
yeah,
it perked her all the way up. So I could stay longer because I enjoyed seeing her in her
yeah,
element. Okay,
yeah.
I'm not gonna put water on your fire.
Right,
But everything is not for everyone. But
right.
she would just, I mean, it like lit a fire under her to go, Auntie, oh, look at this little tea kettle. And and I'd be like, yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah,
And see, and I'm thinking about, I'm not buying anything. It's not because I didn't like what I saw. Where do
yeah,
I don't have a place to put it. You got what I'm
Right.
saying? That type of thing. So I'm
Yeah.
looking at that aspect. But she was that person, and like I said, I enjoyed just seeing her when we would eat lunch and then go antiquing, or go antiquing and then eat lunch. So it just made our day. And
Yeah.
hers for sure. So, and when you have a friend, you got to embrace some of the things that they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as it's positive, you got to embrace what they're doing.
I get it. I get it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then I love the theater. So I would go to Alabama Shakespeare Theater or some of the local theaters like in Leeds or
Hmm.
Homewood or different places. I love plays. I love theater.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's great. So yeah, you just a lover of the arts, and and Birmingham is an artsy town.
it is. It
Hmm.
is.
It is.
Virginia Sanford Theater,
Hmm.
like I say, Leeds, Homewood, BFT. We've got quite a few little community theaters, and I love them.
That's great. Now, where can the audience, how can they reach you? Where can they get your books?
Probably the best place would be Amazon. It has all my titles out there.
Hmm.
Um, and it's amazing how if you Google yourself, you'll be like, who are these people selling my book? Which I did just before we started this. And there was somebody, I was like, okay, they got that price a little high. Go to Amazon.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazon. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. And they can find your books under.
Sheila Dene Lawrence,
Hmm.
yes, because there is a Sheila Lawrence that I went out there. I was like, I don't know what she writes, but just to keep it unique, most of mine will be under Sheila Dene Lawrence.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that's what we need. That's what this audience needs to know.
yeah,
They can find your books on Amazon and under Sheila Dene Lawrence.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, good. Okay. Do you have any closing comments for the audience?
Uh, no, I thank God for being able to do what you love and to bring some kind of hope, some kind of joy, some kind of amusement to people, because as our conversation earlier, um, those things, that's what's going to last. If we can help somebody, if we could uplift somebody, if we could speak life into somebody, we never know what people are going through, what they're dealing with. But if we could give them hope, then we've given them the best that we've got to give.
And that is so true, because you never know what type of day a person is having.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So
if they
you
could just
better.
laugh at my foolishness and
That's
it,
true.
it lifts their burden,
Yeah.
then, I've done
Mhm.
my job.
You
Yeah.
have done your job, and
Yeah.
and that's what they needed. They
Yeah.
didn't need anything dull, or they didn't need that cold water hitting them in the face.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
needed some light. They needed some
Yeah.
joy, and you just never know where a person is. So let's try to meet them with
Absolutely.
kindness.
And the Bible say laughter is good medicine. So
It
if I
is.
can make anybody smile, laugh, whatever, then, that's a dose that, yeah,
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Sheila, for being a guest on Gentry's Journey. We have truly enjoyed having you.
it's been my
And
pleasure. It's been my
this is
pleasure.
great, great. And I'm so glad we met
Yes,
at the library at the author expo.
absolutely.
Thank you
Absolutely.